Welcome to Spotlight, where you will hear an inspiring conversation with a remarkable woman about her personal journey, which may actually help you in your own personal life. This podcast is brought to you in collaboration with elite women around the world and Gift of Kindness. I am Seema Raj, your host. My guest today is an international health and development professional with over 3 decades of experience working with some of the world's most difficult problems, and for more than 20 years, she has worked to prevent, treat, and mitigate child sexual abuse, or CSA, and other adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. She is a best-selling author and the recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award for her advocacy work protecting children. Let us meet Dr. Pamela Pine, Director of Stop the Silence, a department of the Institute of Violence, Abuse, and Trauma with a mission to prevent, expose, and stop childhood sexual abuse and ACEs. Welcome to Spotlight, Dr. Pine. Thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey with us. It is truly an honor to have you here.
Thanks so much, Seema. It's really kind of you to have me on. I'm really looking forward to talking about Stop the Silence and educating our listeners on what we need to do.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Pine, for over 2 decades now, you have led the change in preventing and mitigating child sexual abuse and adverse childhood experiences. Your work and efforts have been transformed communities locally, nationally, and even internationally. Tell us about how Stop the Silence began.
Sure, Seema. In the year 2000, I was a passionate, as always, and accomplished international public health professional, and I'd lived and worked on a myriad of some of the world's most pressing health problems. One day, I got a request for a proposal from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, on aspects of interpersonal violence. After reading about the outrageous statistics on child sexual abuse and its outcomes, I checked in with my sister, Amy, who was a therapist at that time with a strong and positive reputation of working successfully with survivors of child sexual abuse. That's when we partnered and started comprehensive prevention and treatment programming on CSA. I formalized Stop the Silence, Stop Child Sexual Abuse, Inc. in 2004, incorporating it as an international nonprofit based in Maryland with a mission to expose, prevent, and stop child sexual abuse and help survivors heal. In 2021, we became a part of IBAT.
Wow, that is wonderful, wonderful. So Stop the Silence has reached millions of victims and survivors and those professionals who work to help them learn about these types of traumas through prevention and treatment. What kind of programs do you guys conduct?
Stop the Silence focuses on advocacy, education, training, and policy development and reform. That means we advocate, educate, and train all types of professionals about the realities of CSA and ACEs, and provide referral information for survivors and protected parents and community members. Our focus is on getting the world on the same page in terms of awareness, knowledge, understanding, and skills, so we can collectively face the need across disciplines. We help survivors by listening to their issues, understanding their needs, and getting them the help that they need. Each person's issue is different, so we base their individual needs on what is going on for them, and we get them in touch with professionals like pediatricians or psychiatrists, psychologists, other therapists, lawyers, judges, police educators, and other types of professionals. It's whatever area that needs to be addressed in order to help them.
I mean, truly, we can all see that it's complete teamwork to get the answers. And based on all of this information, you came up with the CSA model. Can you tell us how this model works?
Sure. It's pretty simple, and it's not unusual, to tell you the truth, except that it hasn't been well applied to these issues. The CSA model puts the community at the center of everything, asking them what they need while underscoring the various types of people who need to be reached, like parents, like responders, first responders, educators, pediatricians, therapists. Then we and the community members identify who needs to be reached and how best to reach them with information. And then we network and network and network and provide the type of information needed to the right people in the right way.
Wow, that's amazing. Like I said, it takes a tribe, that's for sure. And clearly, Stop the Silence has come a long way in combating this horrific issue. But numbers still show that 1 in 4 children in the U.S. experience CSA in their life, and so many more are exposed to other ACEs. That's a lot of numbers. Are there any signs to recognize if a person has been sexually abused or is a victim or a survivor of an adverse childhood experience?
You're right, Seema. We have come a long way, but there's so much more to do to help in child abuse, the child abuse arena, and in terms of trauma and the aftermath. We're looking into other areas that may help victims of CSA, like the orientation on arts and healing, focused on opening hearts and minds, and thereby understanding by getting various types of artworks into museums, educational institutions, libraries. We also use film and theater, and also our online certificate to master's program in child protection to help service providers learn what they need to know. And yes, there are recognizable signs and symptoms. It depends on the age of the child or whether the person is an adult. As a child, a few signs and symptoms may include a child who becomes suddenly fearful of people or situations, and specific people at that. A young child who reverts to infantile behaviors like wetting the bed after being potty trained, demonstrating inappropriate developmental and age-related sexual knowledge or behaviors. There are other ones as well. In adults, those traumatized as children can present with a host of outcomes: depression, anxiety, various types of other psychological severe symptoms or diagnoses like personality disorders and psychosis, alcoholism, abuse of drugs, and unstable and maladaptive destructive relationships, and high promiscuity. In fact, people often go to therapists and they present with these symptoms only to be acknowledged as child sexual abuse or other ACE survivors afterwards, after months of therapy, after there's trust that has been built up with the therapist.
I can imagine, and you've been doing this for over 3 decades. So, how many people do you think you've actually reached and helped?
Well, I've been working on this actually for 25 years, and it's hard to know the actual numbers of people we've reached. For 25 years, we've worked through many advocacy, education, and training programs, reaching millions throughout the world through TV, radio, social media, newspapers, magazines, journal articles, online publications, live speaking engagements, educational programs, training, as well as referrals. So there is a lot. To evaluate something like that takes a lot of money, and unfortunately, we don't necessarily have that, but we have reached millions for sure.
Yeah, because your program is global. And now, Dr. Pine, you've gone even a step further. Let me congratulate you on your bestseller book titled Stop the Silence, Thriving After Child Sexual Abuse, available through Amazon now. How can someone really benefit from reading this?
My book is written by me and 22 international survivor authors. And they share their story and then provide at the end of each of the stories, their stories, a section called The Practice, which provides the leading modalities that they use to heal. The many authors provide varying techniques for healing that may resonate with readers and help service providers as well better know how they can help survivors, because it's complicated and there's a lot to know and there's a lot to pay attention to.
Well, I think that is exactly what people need. They need to read personal stories which provide a path for healing. I'm sure if people read it, they will find some answers to help them deal with their own personal battles. And Dr. Pine, your journey is truly amazing and recognized globally. So at this time, it's not even surprising that you have also received the Lifetime Achievement Award. Big congratulations to you. When did this happen?
Thank you. That's very kind of you to recognize. I received a Lifetime Achievement in Family Violence Advocacy Award from the Institute on Violence, Abuse, and Trauma in 2017. I was happy and honored to receive it. I have worked hard and done some good work, and it was recognized by my peers, many of them very accomplished. And we also had a great dinner, so that was nice too.
Wow, so much valuable information today. If you had one message out of everything that we've talked about today to give to our listeners, what would that be?
These issues, child sexual abuse and other adverse childhood experiences, they're not issues that concern just a few children, a few adolescents, a few adults who will likely just magically be okay. These are horrendous, hugely damaging issues affecting each and every one of us. In fact, whether we know it or not, we all know people who are survivors. They affect our own well-being. The issues affect our own well-being and our families, our communities, our workplaces, our societies, our nations, even our economies. And what I would say is reach out, learn more, get involved, and help educate others.
You know, and I'm sure there are people listening to this podcast today that do want to reach out to you. So what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm going to give you a few ways. They can write to me at Pamela P, that's PAMELAP, at ivatcenters.org. And I'm going to spell that. It's IVAT centers with an S.org. They can also look at the website at ivatcenters.org/stop-the-silence. And then there are other ways as well. There are LinkedIn, but if people write to me at IVAT Centers, Pamela P at ivatcenters.org, I can give everybody else the other contact information. I'd be happy to.
Wonderful, Dr. Pine. And we will link these at the bottom of the podcast as well so people can easily reach out to you. And today, thank you so much for joining me on Spotlight and sharing your uplifting and emotional journey with us. I'm sure it's been emotional along the way. I wish you the best of luck in your ongoing efforts to ignite change.
Thanks so much, Seema, for letting me share my journey today and the information. I really hope this information can help people looking for guidance.
You know, I'm sure it will, and I truly hope that people will raise their voices so they can help stop the silence. The voices need to be heard. That is the only way to make a change. And with that, I want to thank our listeners for tuning in and listening to our podcast today. See you next month when we meet another elite guest with her inspiring story. Until next time, stay safe and always remember the spotlight can be on you too. We would love to hear it and share it. If you want to be featured on Spotlight, you can contact EWAW at 216-593-0050 or Gift of Kindness at giftofkindness.channel@gmail.com. I am Seema Raj, your host. Thanks for tuning in.